What is happening, Cyberfam? Today I'm going to review something that was proposed to me from one of the comments. So really good stuff. I wanted to do this before, but I've been getting a few requests for looking at this thing now. This is the, what's it called? HyperAuto live demo. I found this video on Felix and Friends from, it's another YouTube channel, from a suggestion. Now the thing is, the video is actually really kind of like grainy quality, so you know, take for that what you will, but I'll try my best to sort of break down as much as I can. But I think we do get some commentary from the folks that work at Palantir as well, so let's jump right to it. There we go. So these two guys are from Palantir UK, and they're about to do a demo. I can't find a better quality version on this, so you know, forgive me for not trying, I guess, but if you guys have one, then send it to me. Maybe I'll try to superimpose it or something. Or at least I'll do like a second take on it, just to cover all the basic points. Okay, so there are actually two videos. There's one actually from Palantir I found on their website, which is really good quality, but I don't think they touch on a lot. This demo is going to touch on more things, so let's take down the full demo, and then I'll show you the part, you know, the better quality one, just so we can get a better grasp of what I think is probably the more important stuff, more you know, the meat and potatoes that they want to display to whoever's actually interested in this kind of stuff. So I'll kick this video off. They're going to talk about some of the stuff that they find important or whatever. I'll touch on it because it does overlap. I haven't seen this fully. I only saw like the first 5 minutes, so let's get into it.
Live here from London. This is, I believe, Palantir's first ever LinkedIn Live event, which you can probably tell. It's certainly our first LinkedIn Live event, so please be easy on us.
Just off the bat, live demos are very tough, guys. I'm telling you right now. Like I do quite a few live demos. I've been actually pretty much an R&D developer, or a business transformation developer, or some kind of like operations guy for at least 6 years now. So live demos are very, very tricky because half the time you don't know if the software and stuff works properly, and most of the time it doesn't. So, you know, I gotta commend these guys for trying, man. So let's get going.
Cool. Hi, everyone. Super excited to be here. I'm Colin, product lead of Palantir HyperAuto. I have a background in civil engineering as well as mechanical engineering. I joined Palantir more than 3 years ago.
Thanks, Colin. My name's Tom. I am the lead architect of Palantir HyperAuto. I've been working at Palantir for about 8.5 years now. And my background is in computer science and software engineering.
Okay, so they have an architect and an engineer.
So today, Tom and I are going to introduce Palantir HyperAuto.
Good pair.
We are going to talk about what it is, how we got here, what functionality it provides, as well as how our customer is using Palantir HyperAuto to get the most out of their data. And then towards the end of this session, we are going to also have a Q&A session as well. So as you go through this session, if you have questions, please drop them in the comment section. Cool. Tom, how about we start by talking about what is Palantir HyperAuto?
They're pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So Palantir HyperAuto is the product of many years of complex data wrangling by us here at Palantir for our partners. And it really automates away the months-long data integration projects and processes that are required to make sense of data that is stored in traditional enterprise data systems. So Carling and I and many of our colleagues here at Palantir, we got quite bored of essentially building the same data pipelines or very similar data pipelines over and over again. And we we realized there must be a better way. So we sort of dreamt up this concept. We call it software-defined data integration. And what software-defined data integration does is it eliminates the need for these lengthy and error-prone processes that are required to make sense of that data that's in your enterprise resource planning system or your customer relationship management system. And we've now taken that, built it for ourselves. We've unleashed the power of it. We've seen the impact that it's had for many of our partners, and we're just really excited now to share it with you all.
Okay. Right off the bat, what he's talking about in terms of just regurgitating pipelines and stuff, very true. These guys are very heavy on the data side of it. My exposure to this is really just like, you know, whenever it's needed. But I can tell you straight up, like whenever we did kick off a new data project, it is exactly like what he's talking about. It's usually a lot of massaging. You guys got to understand something. When this data comes in, right, think of it like an open tap, right? So you basically all these companies are trying to record as much as possible. So when you write these applications to actually go and do whatever you need to do, it's going to literally just absorb every single data point that comes in. And these developers that write the apps, right, the front end apps and stuff like that, for the most part, they're required to actually be able to like suck in as much as they can and store it into the database, or into a database, right? So then what happens is in the database, there's also other processes beyond that. Now, databases from a SQL perspective, like DBMS, right, database management system, usually only caters to the application data. So like for instance, right, just to give you an example, if you have a website, right, you go on a website, you press a button, you log in, a bunch of other stuff. Once you're into the website, anything that you basically enter or any interaction that you do with the actual platform is logged, right? It doesn't have to be, but it can be logged. So in most cases, developers are sort of juggling between logging everything or logging the important stuff. And this is exactly what comes down to business scope. So this is handed down from like the business side. And most likely, most of the time, it's like at least 80% of any interaction that you do can and will be logged and processed in some manner. So anyway, yeah, just keep in mind, you have to basically try to absorb everything. Once it gets into the application database, there's a ton of data there, right? So then there's another layer past that. Now it depends on what your scope is and what kind of business you're running, but very often the database is not the be all end all of data. There's like multiple layers past that where there's combinations of different application data into another database. Eventually it just gets really big. So you have like things like HBase or Hadoop or something that's more horizontally scaling for you to be able to store it. Now what happens is, after that, once it's there, that's where it becomes big data. That's what they're talking about, right? That set is usually really, really, really robust, like very big. And at that point, you have so much data. Like you can't even understand what it is. There's different tables, different like associations, different schema. And by schema, you mean like actual like structure of whatever it is, right? So it could be like username, you know, male, gender, blah, blah, like so much characteristics that it's tough to like pull it all into a type of like, you know, packageable category. So what they're talking about is once it gets to that space, you want to actually have a level of automation where you're doing some massaging of that data. And this massaging of data is what these guys are talking about. You're always writing multiple different pipelines. Now this space doesn't have too many things. Snowflake plays here too, by the way. So this space, there's not too many companies that have things that are fully organized. And if they do, it's because they have stuff that like relates to their own product. So for example, if a company's using Azure has something similar to that. There are these things called SSMS, SSIS, and SSAS, which is a Microsoft very old product, by the way, very, very old. It actually helps in this space where it actually takes like big data. You can sort of SSIS is information, AS especially analysis, and you can sort of like piece it together and then push it out to the next level of the pipeline. A lot of this stuff is actually called ETL. So ETL, if you guys want to take a look at that. So it touches on parts of that, okay? The key part here, I think, is going to be the thing that Palantir has that a lot of folks don't, is just the level of efficiency and how fast it works, and the fact that they're agnostic, right? Palantir doesn't have their own like cloud or anything. It's not like Azure or AWS. So the fact that they can use some kind of model for themselves and then agnostically apply that to anyone else, that's the key here. So let's see if they can touch on that here. That's it for part one, guys. I'm going to split this up into as many parts as it takes, maybe 9-minute videos, just so you guys don't get bored. Hopefully that's all right with you. Check you out in part two. Catch you later. Peace.